Good morning. Welcome back to the KR Daily Transmission. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Kaia Ra, and I am the author of the Sophia Code. In the month of February, we are dedicating our focus and our spiritual practice to deepening in self-love. That is the ability to love our own hearts first, which generates so much divine love within us that there is an overflow for us to love others through a sovereign space within us, through a sovereign context. Self-love is the solution to codependency, and it's a solution to all of the ways that we may sabotage our own success in life. I want to thank you for joining me live today. Feel free to say hello and introduce yourself. Oh, wow. I'm just checking the chat. Wonderful. So good to see everyone coming online. Yes. Yes. So feel free to converse with each other, share your thoughts and feedback in the chat. If you're live, please like this video now. Go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're watching the replay, it's so helpful to receive your feedback in the comments and to like the video. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We have so much amazing free spiritual content to support your journey. It's so great to see everyone saying good morning. We've been getting so much feedback about how everyone's self-love practice is deepening with our transmission, our daily transmission journey. And that just brings so much joy to my heart. You know, part of the reason why I have always felt so motivated to be a part of the transformational field is because I know what it's like to suffer from not loving myself. I know what it feels like to go on that really deep inner journey to face those places, spaces and places within that have required an enormous amount of love and self-compassion to come back into harmony with myself. And I think the reason why anyone would ever choose spiritual leadership is because of compassion. It's because we know what it's like to suffer quietly alone, and we want to create light and understanding for others that they don't have to be alone in their journey of awakening. And the interesting thing that we really dive into in the Stargate 2 curriculum of our mystery school is that, you know, so much of what we're here to offer others is the journey of how we learned how to love ourselves. That's really what we're up to. It's the journey of how we learned to love ourselves and the journey of what it took to reclaim our direct connection to our source and the truth of our sovereign divinity. So those are three things. Reclaiming a loving relationship with yourself, or if you already are in a loving relationship with your own heart, deepening that loving relationship with yourself, becoming genuine and authentic more and more every day with with your heart's truth, and then identifying that all of the ways that you have healed and empowered yourself. You have medicine, you have information, you have wisdom, you have knowledge that you can pass on to others. And it's an act of self-love to speak about your wisdom, to speak about your experiences to others, because you get to identify and recognize that the love that you gave to your own heart, it was worth it. It was worth it first and foremost because you deserve all the love in the world for being who you are in this world. But it's also because it creates these spiritual treasures, diamonds, jewels of wisdom for others to become uplifted and empowered by. I share a lot about that in our Sophia Circle Leadership Certification course and our Stargate 2 curriculum. I'm going to be talking a whole lot more about that in Austin, where you can see me live in May. I'm really looking forward to getting out to Austin. We have such an amazing crew of light workers out there, and just so excited just even talking about it. So today I want to focus on Mother Mary. As I shared in previous videos, there is this really powerful healing trinity of Kiko Descended Masters that I've been working with specifically for inner child healing, reparenting, my consciousness, and just all the different aspects of the self-love journey that come up. This trinity is Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, and Isis, winged Isis, beloved Isis. Now, it's a little tricky for me to just pick three, because whenever I work with Mother Mary, I always feel Mary Magdalene right there with her. They're kind of like the wonder twin Marys. But a lot, I also associate Mary Magdalene so much with spiritual mentorship for leading and your professional embodiment. She's an extraordinary healer, don't get me wrong, but for me, in my own personal experience, which can be different for you in your own journey, it's this interesting dance between the Marys as far as that trinity goes, and what I'm healing and what I'm working on. So I like to visualize this trinity of Isis, Mother Mary, and Kuan Yin at their points on that circle of empowerment. And I often visualize and feel and see the violet flames, like that purple ray energy with Isis for healing. With Kuan Yin, of course, it's either pink or like this pletium soft baby blue. And of course, the gentle white light that pierces all darkness, as we read about in her chapter. And with Mother Mary, it's this like seraphim sapphire blue healing medicine. It's quite electric in nature. And I think we think of Mother Mary as just this really like soft figure in a manger scene. And from the moment I met Mother Mary directly, there was just such a fierce grace to her. She is such an electric, intelligent, articulate, passionate, fiery spiritual guide. There's just simply nothing boring about Mother Mary at all. She was a revolutionary, and she continues to be a revolutionary. I think there's probably more altars built to Mother Mary all over the world, maybe than any other deified image. She seems to have found her way into the heart of so many cultures that aren't even, Christian in origin. There's something about her open arms and her extraordinary heart that speaks to every heart on the planet. And she has a very strong prayer for mentoring our generation to up-level our self-worth and our self-esteem. And what I'm hearing from Mother Mary this morning, to identify the true source of our self-worth. So much of our culture has become fantastical. It feels like a very surface plastic kind of energy. And what she's saying is, go deeper within. Your heart is the source of your radiant beauty from the inside out. And it's also the source of your wisdom. And learning how to become still and to actively listen to your own heart is a big part of her self-love teachings, which reveals to us how to continue to pivot our awareness back to the source of our true worth, our true value, and the source of our divine purpose for being here, which is your divinity, your higher self. So I asked Mother Mary to show me what passage to read today, and I literally opened to her chapter on page 176 of the Sophia Code. If you have your copy of the Sophia Code, pull it on out and let's read the book together. It's really powerful reading the Sophia Code out loud, and I'm going to be reading at the very top of the page. So I'm just going to check the chat. How y'all doing out there? Are we ready to read the Mother Mary? Yes. Okay, great. Oh, it's so good to see everyone's comments. Okay, good. I'm glad everyone's settled in and enjoying today's transmission. So, okay, page 176. And we're gonna start at the top, and this paragraph begins, although my destiny elevated me, this is the words of Mother Mary, although my destiny elevated me to the status of an internationally known figure, to the end of my life, I was consistently challenged by the rampant repression of women. Everywhere I traveled for my ministry, I faced the socially conditioned demands placed upon women to mute our feelings and relinquish our sovereign right to create reality. These are extremely powerful words from Mother Mary. And she goes on to share in the next paragraph, my heart always guided me to act with courage, grace, and strength in response to these demands, to firmly stand in the truth of what was important for me to feel. Regardless of all outer circumstances, I met every temptation to shun my feelings with an inner resolve to follow the voice of my heart. As a result of this personal commitment to never turn against myself and deny my own feelings, I became a living sanctuary of emotional safety for my own heart. The integrity of emotional safety that I offered myself eventually became an important part of my divine feminine embodiment for others to witness and empower themselves by my example. Always remember that listening to and following your heart will always positively affect the evolution of humanity far beyond your understanding. Oh my God. These two paragraphs, every paragraph in the Mother Mary chapter, we could unpack it for days. She's such a lightning bolt of wisdom and truth and inspiration and encouragement and activation. And what I love what she's doing here. She's articulating her personal journey to reveal a blueprint of spiritual leadership through self-love. Like within two paragraphs, just amazing what she's offering us here. So what is she saying? She's saying, look, it didn't matter how famous I became. I continued to be persecuted. In fact, chances are good, the more well-known she became, the greater the persecution. Because when we make waves in our divine purpose, when we speak up and share our truth, when we are an emotionally safe place to help others transform their life, there's a lot of wounded people out there and that are being run around by their ego structures, and they're looking for the safest person to attack because they want to externalize the self-hatred and the wounding that they can't process within themselves. So what Mother Mary is saying was like, hey, part of my ministry was remaining clear, strong, and present as she served others, regardless of how they felt about themselves or about her. Now, she's talking about the rampant repression of women, which at the time of Mother Mary's life, a woman could be stoned to death for no reason. A man could just decide that a woman had done something he didn't like and just stone her to death. We, of course, see this level of violence still around the world, but it has become socially a social norm that is not the norm on the planet. And so this extraordinary embodiment of courage that Mother Mary was living as an example for others, it was a really big deal. And we can take that rampant repression of women, which in and of itself is absolutely its own thing to examine, but we can also take it as a not metaphorical, a symbolic parallel with the divine feminine consciousness that exists within every human being, regardless of gender. So the divine feminine consciousness, is our intuitive, emotionally intelligent consciousness that can open up and receive information from every realm of reality, It's the part of your consciousness that can connect to your spiritual guides. It's the qualities of your divinity that are extremely magnetic and prosperous and multidimensional and multifaceted. It's the part of you that can birth new realities into this world. The divine feminine consciousness has been attacked, persecuted, repressed for hundreds, even thousands of years on this planet. And this is the time that this consciousness is rising up within so many light workers to be reclaimed and truly embodied in such a way that if there's a tipping point of light workers who are choosing to no longer run from this divine feminine consciousness within them, then we can create a collective shift for humanity to finally embrace and love themselves for these aspects within the collective consciousness of humanity. So it's like our individual self-love is opening up humanity's collective heart to self-love. And Mother Mary shares that very, very plainly in the last sentence of this paragraph 2. She said, always remember that listening to and following your heart will always positively affect the evolution of humanity far beyond your understanding. There's 2 always in that sentence. And I believe that repetitive appearance of the word always here with Mother Mary's languaging is that she's really impressing upon our awareness. She's like, always remember that you are always making a difference. That's so Mother Mary. There's this and a passionate call to love our hearts. So I want to just circle back around and look at a few other teachings here from today's self-love passage with Mother Mary. She's saying there's interesting virtues. Virtues are attributes of divinity that we can express in our human embodiment, or really in any embodiment. But for the sake of talking about being human, there are divine virtues that we incarnate to learn more about, to explore as part of our spiritual education in each incarnation. And Mother Mary is saying, my heart always guided me to act with courage, grace, and strength in response to these demands. So here we have 3 key words that we can identify our self-love virtues. Divine virtues that can deeply serve, nurture, and protect our human experience. And that is courage, grace, and strength. Now, in chapter 5, the Sophia Dragon Tribe offers extensive teachings on what the word grace means. But in summary, grace is the space where divinity is allowed to come through you and work miraculous solutions through you beyond your human understanding. It takes, it's a quality where your ego structure is consciously surrendered into the light of your divinity. And so the light of your divinity can come through you and orchestrate reality through you in exceptional and miraculous ways. Courage. Courage is not about not feeling afraid. Courage is the virtue that shows up and is willing to show up no matter how you feel, anxious, fearful, sad, depressed. Courage is like a fire element. It's a sacred flame that comes from your divinity, from your higher self. And you can often feel it burning like a flame within your heart when you activate that space of courage. It overrides the stagnation, the frozenness, or even the trauma of fear and anxiety that would hold you hostage to not moving forward in your life. And I love that she's using the word courage here for how she stood her ground. She wasn't fighting against anyone or anything. She's not saying that. She said, regardless of all outer circumstances, I met every temptation to shun my feelings with an inner resolve to follow the voice of my heart. So what Mother Mary is sharing here is that Self-love requires the courage to give yourself permission to have all of your feelings, to be present with your own thoughts, opinions, and preferences, to actively listen to the voice of your heart, especially when others are trying to detract you from what you know to be true for you. Look, the divine feminine principle within you doesn't have to be convinced about what's true. Your body has an emotional intelligence that knows what's true, no matter what somebody is saying to you verbally. Have you ever noticed that it can happen, when you start to get to know someone for the first time, and if their words don't match their actions, your body starts to send you signals that, like, hey, they might be saying one thing, but their actions don't feel in harmony with what they're saying is true. And so your body will start to send you red flags of discernment that say, you need to be courageous enough to accept that I'm telling you the truth about this situation, this relationship, this person. And here's what I am, your heart saying, here's what I am guiding you to in this moment. And are you willing to have the courage to listen to me beyond what this person is, attempting to control or manipulate you into? So listening to our hearts can feel as though we're standing in our own fire, our own holy fire, having the courage and the strength to not give in to how others may want to control or manipulate us through codependency. That's that inner willingness and resolve to love our own hearts in a space of sovereignty. Right? This is why I talk so much about codependency versus sovereignty, because sovereignty can be interdependent with other people through a truly loving context where you identify how you can co-create with that person without it being, through a space of wholeness. When you are codependently relating with someone, you are trying to get something out of them or try to get them to behave a certain way. And they're trying to do the same thing with you. It's not based on wholeness. It's based on wounding. It's based on lack consciousness. It's not based on wholeness. And so what Mother Mary is sharing is she's saying, look, it's not about controlling the thoughts and opinions and even judgments or attacks of others outside of you. She's saying loving yourself first means that no matter what anyone is going to test you with outside of you, your practice of self-love is going to be to have the courage, grace, and strength to respond in those situations instead of react, to care for your own heart, to learn how to articulate your boundaries, to explore how important it is to know your truth and to speak your truth as guided. Now, discernment also includes knowing when to walk away, because it's not an emotionally safe space to have a specific conversation or even confrontation about the truth. And so Mother Mary is embodying for us what it looks like to love yourself so much that you realize you're not really fighting anyone outside of you. You're fighting to love your own heart first. You're standing up and defend it. I don't want to use that word. You're standing up for and having the courage to be unified with your own heart and body's truth, with your divine feminine wisdom and intuition first. And what you discover over time, as Mother Mary did, is that the more you practice being true to your own heart and honoring and accepting your own truth, it's like she's saying you become an emotionally safe person. Not because you placated or codependently fixed or controlled situations to kind of no longer be explosive by being in a codependent dynamic with someone. She's saying you become an emotionally safe space by not giving into codependency. You become an emotionally safe space by practicing your sovereignty. So much so that what is an emotionally safe person? They love themselves so much that they're willing to calmly take in where everyone is really at in their own personal development, not making them wrong for it, but also showing up to their own heart first, where you're not making yourself engage or stoop to the level of others. You're choosing to continue to up level yourself. And in that process, you begin to magnetize others who are loving their own hearts too, who are exploring what it means to courageously stand in their truth and their opinions and their preferences. And we talk about this in the Starting at One curriculum, learning how to create life the way you like it. The way I like life is to live in an emotionally safe environment. I like to engage with creative, emotionally self-resourced, self-regulated, loving individuals who are consciously on a path of awakening their consciousness. Do they have to believe everything I believe? No. I love myself so much, and I'm so content with what I believe in myself. It creates a space for others to be exactly where they're at. And I can navigate and enjoy people exactly where they're at because I'm practicing how to love and accept what it means to be exactly where I'm at in my life. So this means I don't have to have people be a certain way other than respectful, because that's my bar, is respect. But we don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to have the same point of views. And that self-loving space of sovereignty creates a space for people to still love one another and not agree on everything. And that's extremely healing for everyone involved. And so, I love the honoring of the divine feminine. I love celebrating intuition. I love creating beauty. I love tuning into God consciousness and asking for help and receiving the help. I love to give and receive, from a space of wholeness. And I love to experience what it's like to witness when old wounding comes up and learning how to love myself there first before, reacting to others. And it's a moment by moment process. There's every moment we're always meeting our journey of self-love to the best of our ability. We're always meeting others to the best of our ability. It's always going to be a work in progress. And so, what Mother Mary is sharing here is that over time, over this daily self-love practice of getting in touch with all of her feelings, staying in faith to the truth of her heart, what happens is, she said, as a result of this personal commitment to never turn against myself and deny my own feelings, I became a living sanctuary of emotional safety for my own heart. The integrity of emotional safety that I offered myself eventually became an important part of my divine feminine embodiment for others to witness and empower themselves by my example. Isn't that amazing? Mother Mary doesn't say, well, once I convinced, 250 people in my community to behave a certain way, then I felt really great and peaceful inside of myself. She's saying, no, I just chose to focus so deeply on my own heart that created such a powerful transformation within me that others would come to learn from her, right? She's saying they would come to learn from her about how they could deepen in their own conversation with their own heart. I just love this teaching with Mother Mary so much. Becoming an emotionally safe person for myself was a lifelong journey. My heart goes out to every single person that is on that spiritual path of healing from trauma and empowering yourself through these teachings on the truth of your sovereign divinity, which, is the end all be all reason why we deserve to not just love ourselves, but celebrate, honor, and value ourselves. We are literally the light of God in human form. We're literally that angelic nature of God that became human. And we are worth the time and the energy and the resources to learn how to value and the sanctuary of our own self-love what it really takes to go deeper and deeper in this conversation with our own hearts and to learn how to hold the line. I spent many years extracting myself from extremely toxic and abusive codependent relationships that, any codependent relationship is two people having a relationship. I'm not saying that in a blaming context of anyone else. It was what I was programmed to attract into my life. And in that journey of learning how to unravel, giving away my power, putting other people's emotions and opinions above my own, shaming myself for the attacks of others that had nothing to do with me. As I got sober from that codependency and started to explore what it meant to truly own the journey of creating an emotionally safe space for my own heart within me, look, that's not a journey that happens overnight, but after many, many years, even on my hardest days, I know that my heart is a safe place for myself. And I know that that journey is a part of what I'm here to share with others. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to allow me to share some of these insights from Mother Mary's teachings with you, because it just means the world to me that so many of us want to learn about self-love and embody self-love in dynamic and revolutionary new ways. Because as Mother Mary says, again, always remember that listening to and following your heart will always positively affect the evolution of humanity far beyond your understanding. We say that far beyond your understanding several times in the Sophia Code, actually multiple times, and it's because we are so focused on what's in the moment right in front of us, our physical world, our day-to-day reality, that it's very natural and normal to lose that overarching perspective of what happens when your love, your light, your heart, your angelic nature descends into this world as a gift to this world. And especially when you might feel attacked or judged for being an angel in human form, for knowing what is right and real for you through your own direct connection to the source. And so we can often take the shame of this world and the attacks of this world as though it has something to do with us. And Mother Mary is saying, stand firm in your self-love. Stand firm in your daily embodiment of self-love. Have courage to give value and truth to yourself for your divine feminine wisdom and intuition. You know what's right for you. No one else has to believe it or understand it, as Kuan Yin shares in her chapter in the Sophia Code, for you to know what is appropriate and joyful as you love your own heart. What's your journey with your own heart? What's your truth? So how's this landing for everyone? How's everyone doing? I'm gonna head over to the chat. Okay, Pauline is writing in, too many times I turned against myself by not listening to my feelings. Amen, Pauline. I am right there with you. I'm dedicating myself to never doing that again. Consciousness is everything. Oh my God. Thank you so much for your rededication today, Pauline, to the truth of your own feelings. Kristen's writing in, thank you, Kaia Ra. So many pearls of wisdom today. You're so welcome. Jennifer is sharing, I've been removing and not accepting toxicity in my life. Jennifer, I am celebrating this with you. Oh my gosh. I invite you to visualize the light of your higher self, flooding all of those places and spaces within your life that you're releasing toxicity, filling it with that light of your own divine love and the light of Sophia. Because as we release, we want to make sure we're filling that space back up. Kathy is asking, when you come into contact with a very wounded individual and you love them very much, do I just remain in my self-loving space to try and help them heal? So Kathy, I shared about this in last Friday's KR Daily Transmission. And I talk a lot about this in our Soul Power Journey curriculum, which is available on my website. And every every time we interact with someone, it's always a present moment discernment of how much that individual is capable of hearing or receiving in the moment. And what's important for us to remember is that we're not here to be anyone's emotional punching bag. Okay, so if someone is extremely wounded and they're being reactive, you can clearly communicate how you can have that conversation with them through respect. And if they're ready to meet you there to the best of their ability, then, according to your own heart's discernment, maybe that conversation is possible. Maybe it requires some facilitation with a third party. Maybe it requires letting them be exactly where they're at and allowing yourself to continue on your journey without having to fix them in any way, but going back to tending to your own heart. It's really, again, a moment by moment journey. And I hope some of those insights are helpful for you. Let's see. Taryn is writing in. Yes, create life the way you like that. I love that. Thanks, Taryn. Oh, so many beautiful comments. All right, well, we're getting a little bit over here on time. It's so hard for me to be short with these KR daily transmissions. I just feel so much love for everyone. I get so excited and passionate to share about the Sophia Code teachings. It's just such a joy to be connecting with you here in the mornings. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for your beautiful comments in the chat. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to share your feedback and your thoughts or any questions. We read all of the feedback. I can't respond to all of it, but it's so wonderful to take in your reflections. And if you're new to the channel and you're enjoying the KR Daily Transmissions, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And feel free to reach out to our team angels if you have any questions about our teachings, our mystery school, or our incredible calendar of Sovereign Soul live events that are coming up this year. Our next stop is Austin in May, and we're happy to get on the phone and share more information with you about that. We'd love to see you there. We're going to have special guests with our Sophia Circle leaders presenting, and this is going to be a truly unique event that we've never done before. Incredibly in-depth trainings and exceptional multidimensional ceremonies and channelings and activations. We're even going to be doing outdoor ceremonies. It's going to be exceptional, and I'm looking forward to being in Austin with so many of you so soon. So there is limited capacity. So if you would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to my team angels. They're happy to get on the phone with you. So thanks again, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow. All my love to you. Namaste.